right, the end of 3.5 multiplying polynomials. Again, just getting a little harder. We're still distributing basically, so let's go ahead and start distributing. I'm going to distribute the x to the x squared, and I get x cubed. Remember, you're doing the product rule, so you're adding your exponents. 1 plus 2 is 3. X to the 5x is 5x squared. X to the negative 8 is negative 8x. Now this one's going to be a little tougher because we have two different things that we are multiplying. Now, I'm going to do this one in a different color just so you can see it. So I'm going to say the 3 times the x squared is 3x squared. The 3 times the 5x gives me a positive 15x. And then the 3 times the negative 8 gives me a negative 24. Now notice that everything in pencil and then everything in the green, this is when I distributed that first part of the polynomial. This is when I distributed the second part of the polynomial. This kind of keeps it where you know you distributed to everything because you have 3 things that you're distributing to. So you should have 3 in gray and 3 in green. Now let's combine our like terms if we have any. Unlike our full method where you had like a binomial times a binomial, and our middle terms were usually like, if you have a binomial times a trinomial, 3 terms, you don't have just middle terms. So your things that are like could be scattered. Notice that I don't have another x cubed, so this x cubed is going to just come down into my answer. For the x squares, I have a positive 5 and a positive 3. That's going to give me a positive 8x squared. For my x's, I have a negative 8x and a positive 15. So different signs, so I'm going to subtract. 15 minus 8 is 7. And the bigger number is positive, so my answer is positive 7x. And then last, the negative 24 doesn't have anything in common, so it's just going to come down. So this is your answer in simplest form because there are no more like terms. All right, the last example in this section is number 10. And I'm doing the same thing that I did in number 9. I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to do this one in green and the other one in a different color. So, this one in red. So I have 4x to 8x squared. 4 times 8 is 32. X times x squared is x cubed. 4x times 2x gives me 8x squared. 4x times negative 4 gives me negative 16. Okay, and I'm going to do this next one in blue. So I'm going to distribute this negative 5 to the 8x squared, and I'm going to have a negative 40 because 5 times 8 is 40, x squared. Negative 5 to 2x gives me a negative 10x, and then the negative 5 to the negative 4 gives me a positive 20. So again, I distributed, I should have 3 in red and 3 in blue. That way I know that I've distributed it to each term in those polynomials. And now I want to combine my like terms. Now again, you don't have just 2 middle terms, so you're going to have to look throughout. So I don't have an x cubed any other place, so that 32x cubed just comes into my answer. I do have x squares on both, so I have a positive 8x squared and a negative 40. So I'm going to have a negative because the bigger number, I'm going to subtract. The bigger number is negative, so my answer is going to be a negative 32x squared. For my numbers, I have, for my x, did I do anything wrong? Oh, and I found an error that I'm sure you wouldn't have found. Maybe, I don't know, you might have found it. All right, so when I distributed this 4x over here to the negative 4, it should have been negative 16x. Bad me. So when I combine my like terms, I have negative 16x and negative 10x. Wow. So that would have given me same sign, add and keep the sign. It's going to give me a negative 26x. And then last but not least, my number by itself. Now, I'm sure y'all found that while I was doing that problem, but The reason why I knew that something was wrong is because usually it's the first and the last terms that come down, and then I usually have an x squared that's like and an x that's like when I'm doing the binomial times the trinomial. So that's just something that you can look for, so in case you do make an error like I did, you can catch it. And if you do have any problems with any of these, this should be pretty easy, but if you do have any problems, let me know.